In this lesson, we'll cover Max's Curve Editor. The Curve Editor is used to fine-tune animation. We, with it, can tell exactly how our animation is moving in time. Now, we can't tell that from the trackbar. Okay, the trackbar is going to show us our keyframes. But how do we know that the animation is moving smoothly from frames 1 to 40 by looking at the trackbar? Alright, so here's where the Curve Editor becomes very useful. We can not only know how the animation is moving, but adjust the timing if we need to. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and get to the Curve Editor. Another way to access it is from the Graph Editor menu at the top. Okay, it's the very first choice. Or we even have this mini Curve Editor, but it's not as elaborate as the main Curve Editor. Okay, so I don't use this too much. I'll go ahead and close that out. Alright, so as we open this up, when we select an object, we're going to see this blue dotted line. This is just a line that continues in Max infinitely. Now, if we had any transform keys, that's position, rotation, or scale, on this object, we would see those keys as soon as we open up this Curve Editor, and we would see their animation curves. But being that we animated on a custom parameter, we're going to need to do a little bit more work here to find its animation curve. Alright, so with the engine control selected, we can go to the parameter side of our Curve Editor and start to scroll down with the middle mouse button until we get to Modified Object. Alright, let's go ahead and open that up. And that will take us to the engine params attribute holder that holds our engine rotation custom parameter. So I'll go ahead and expand that. And there we have it. So let's go ahead and zoom into this curve. We can do that by just clicking on engine rotation. And that's alright, but I think we can go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. So from there we can go to View and choose Zoom Horizontal Extends Keys. Great. So again, this animation curve, or what is also known as a function curve or F-curve, this is what shows us how our animation transitions. Now, looking at these numbers that are going vertically, they are our values. The horizontal numbers, they represent our frames. So by selecting this key, or even without selecting the key, we have an idea of the value of this key. We know that it's between a value of 0 to 6, and we also know that this key is going from frames 1 to 5. It's somewhere in between. Alright, now if we want to know the exact value of the key and what frame it lies on, we can go ahead and select it and look at our key stats. So now we know for sure that this key is on frame 1 and it has a value of 7. If we want to, we could also show the key stats in the Curve Editor workspace by toggling on the button right next to our key stats, which is Show Selected Key Stats. When we deselect, we don't see anything, but once we select the key, there are the key stats. There's the keys info. Okay, great. Now we can go ahead and just navigate in the Curve Editor by using the middle mouse button, or we can zoom in and out by either scrolling with the middle mouse button or even holding down Control Alt and using the middle mouse button to zoom in and out. Another way we can zoom is by holding Control Alt Shift and using the middle mouse button. And notice that's a way of really getting in close to our F-curve and see exactly how the animation or how the F-curve is affecting the animation. So I'd like to use this when fine-tuning animation, especially for more complicated animations. Alright, great. So let's go ahead and discuss how to move our keys around. If we go ahead and select, let's say, this key on frame 20, of course we can go to the key stats and move it that way. We can type in, say, 25, and now this key is going to be on frame 25. I'm going to bring this back to 20. Okay, we can change our value the same way. Another way is to actually just select the key and make sure we're under the Move Keys tool. And now just use the left mouse button to drag it around. Alright, and you can see how that changes in the key stats. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and undo that. Okay, great. Now, we can also go ahead and lock down our movement of the key. So let's say if we just wanted to move the frame but keep the value the same. Well, we can go ahead and hold down Control and drag with the left mouse button to our left or right. And notice that's going to lock the key horizontally. Now dragging up and down will lock the key vertically, just in value. Okay, so we can go ahead and move the value, but we cannot move in time. Alright, so that's a way we can go ahead and move our keys around. We also have a few other tools under the Move Keys tool. If we were to go back to it, notice we can move our keys horizontally. Okay, so even if we try to move vertically without holding Control, it doesn't matter. We're only going to move in time. Then we have Move Keys vertically. Okay, again, we're locked in time and only able to move in value. Right next to that, we see the Slide Keys tool, and that's going to go just move our keys in time. But also notice this: it's going to move any keys that follow this key we have selected. All right. So you can see how that affects the other keys in time. But I'm going to go ahead and undo that so we don't mess up our animation. Great. So I'll go ahead and bring this back to frame 20, the value of -19. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this back to the Move Keys tool. Now we can go ahead and discuss the tangent handle that's tied to this key. So right now it's set to, or its color is purple, meaning that this key has its tangent set to auto. Alright, now if we were to start to move this tangent handle, now it changes to a custom tangent, or a tangent that we can modify. So we can change the time of our animation, change its effect by moving these tangent handles. We don't have to keep setting keyframes, which is great because that helps us avoid cluttering Max with all of this keyframe data. The fewer the keys that you can use, that would be ideal, and that also helps for editing the animation. A lot of times you just have to go in and start to do these just little tweaks to get the best result out of your animation. And if you have a lot of keys to work with, it might be troublesome to do. Alright, great. Now if we go ahead and set this back to auto, we could do that from the toolbar. Notice it's going to flatten out this tangent handle, but a lot of times we'll be moving our tangent handle around in custom mode and it won't quite flatten out. Alright, you'll notice that you may need to kind of snap it back into place. After you set it to auto, you kind of snap it back into place so that it's flat again by moving this tangent handle around. But I'll show you another way you can flatten this out. We can go ahead and right click on the key, and notice that'll show us our key stats and give us a little bit more of an elaborate description of this key. So not only can we get to this key's time and value, but we also see its tangent types. For the in tangent, that's the start tangent, and the out tangent. And then if we go to advanced, here's where we can change the orientation of the key by moving these first parameters. And notice it's locked down, so if we were to unlock that, we can go ahead and just break the tangent handle. Now if we lock this again, let's say if we lock this with the tangent handle bent. Now it's going to remain locked, but at that state. It's not going to flatten out again. So to flatten it, you'd want to unlock, go ahead and right click both sliders to zero them out, and then lock again. Now the other parameters, they're used to adjust the length of the tangent handle. Okay, great. So I'll just go ahead and bring this back to 0.333 to match with the other side. Alright, so that's a quick look at how to edit our keys, and we will be coming back to that when we cycle our animation. But I did want to also show you this. There are preset types we can use for our keys, and we'll just look at one of them. We cover these in our intro to animation course, but let's go look at set tangents to fast. What that's going to do is cause the animation to kind of hold on the surrounding keys and then move fast to the selected key. So you can see how that in this case the animation would hold for a little bit longer around frame 1 and then fall quickly to frame 20 and then rise up again quickly and then hold for a little bit longer when we get to frame 40. So this would be great for, let's say, a bouncing ball or even the hips in a walk cycle. Alright, but let's see what this does to the animation. We'll hit play. So it's now going to make the the engines appear to hit a wall when they rotate. I'm just going to go ahead and bring this back up, the curve editor. You can see that when we use these other presets, we don't have access to modify the tangent handles. We need to set this back to either custom or set it to auto. Now notice when it's in custom, it's going to be locked this way. So if you want to flatten this back out, you could always switch this back to auto, adjust this, and it kind of snaps into place. Or simply right click, go to advanced, and right click on the first parameter here to set this back to 0 to flatten that out. Alright, so now that we know how to navigate through the curve editor and how to edit our keys, in the next lesson we're going to cover how to cycle our keyframes.